And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show on the 13th of January, 2015.
Did you just play Repeater?
I just played Repeater. Apparently, Sacco, you know what? Tuesday nights just screw him up, apparently.
What? I was eating dinner, and I was like, oh yeah.
Why is your microphone
Oh, gosh,
on?
I got to go.
So we're doing our show prep, and we're all ready to go. Normally, Sacco cuts it close because he doesn't have to work as hard as what he does.
And by close, we're talking like a couple minutes.
Right.
He's here a
Tonight,
few minutes early.
literally 30 seconds.
It was 27.
He's running through the door.
I looked at the countdown clock.
And he was like, did I make it?
Did I make it? Because my car clock said I was 3 minutes ahead, and I was like, oh, no. I better call. And I looked at my phone, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm good. I got an extra 2-minute grace period.
Thank you so much all for joining us, including you, Sacco. I appreciate you can make it out of bed for this. On this very special Tuesday night edition.
And this
of
is
the
what
Sackheads
happens
Radio
when
Show.
we let him out of the cage and
yeah,
actually
seriously.
sleep
We
in
let
his-
him run
in a
around
bed.
for a little bit. He was
Right.
essentially paroled for the week.
For the week.
Because he was a good boy last week.
He was.
And
And this is what happens.
This is
He's
what
going to have to
happens.
go
So-
back
Get
into
little
the
treats
cage.
here and
go
there.
back
you know?
into the
Good boy.
box. 15 days in the hot box.
The boo box.
At least give me a boo.
Hey, you do what we can.
Turn your microphone off, Sacco.
All right.
No,
See you
that's the show button.
And he's out. Make sure you follow Sacco on Twitter at SOKOTACO1. And use the hashtag FreeSacco when you talk to him
They need to make a Rosetta Stone
for Twitter.
for Twitter speak.
There's somebody else I want you to follow, and I never thought I'd say these words, so I'm kind of excited. Follow at Sackhead Clint, all one word, who's now come to Twitter. It's absolutely amazing. I've never seen. I never thought I'd see the day. It really is crazy.
It is, and I tell you what, I had a dial, like a regular phone with the dial on it,
The rotary.
and I had that. I tried to plug it into my typewriter, and it wasn't working.
No, you really?
Yeah, I don't. It took me a while to figure out. I was pushing buttons. I'm pretty sure I released some clown midget into Joe Biden's office.
Yeah, it's pretty funny watching this. And for everyone who doesn't know, Clint can barely email, and that's not an exaggeration. It's not. I'm not even lying when I say that Clint can barely email. But Clint can barely email. So last
You
week,
should see me text.
oh yeah, it's kind of funny. It's the only thing I can describe it is like
I'm like a one-finger hunting pecker.
yes.
I said pecker, and I didn't mean pecker in the way that Ken thinks I meant pecker.
So, all of a sudden, last week after the show, I'm like, hey, let's make you a Twitter. And he was like, I don't even know what Twitter is. And I'm like, don't worry about it. We're on it. So, I make him a Twitter, set it all up, and I partially set it up. There's still a little couple more things to do. And he says, well, what do I do? And I'm like, you use it. Well, how?
This is a true story.
This is a dead true story. And I'm like, what do you mean how? Just kind of read what's going on. And you can kind of figure it out as you go. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard.
You can't figure it out as you go.
20 text messages through the course of the week. Hey, I'm getting an email from Twitter. Hey, is Twitter emailing me? Hey, what do I do with this email from Twitter? I'm like, well, did you download the app for your phone? What app? And I said, you know what? Just let's wait. This week I'll figure it out. So yesterday, through a litany of interruptions because I said, all right, we'll set away.
Literally.
We'll set aside
I think somebody went to jail and there was it was just a mess.
Crazy people ran into us. It was nuts. I said, we'll set aside 30 to 45 minutes. I'll teach you how to use Twitter. I am not exaggerating. It took almost 2 hours with all the interruptions. And then you got like half of it. You got like half of the Twitter understanding. And you kept saying the way you wanted it to work versus the way it actually worked.
Right.
You're like, well, why can't I just do this? Well, it doesn't work that way. Well, instead of a hashtag, why can't I use an exclamation mark? Well, because it won't recognize that as a hashtag. It seriously was like trying to teach a chihuahua to do math. That's the only thing that I can compare it to.
Which is difficult.
It's very, very difficult. So I'm so glad you are now on the interweb, social media.
I'm on the line.
Tea Party Community is the next website we're going to sign you up for. We're going to get you on that one at some point. But we'll start with Twitter for a little while, and if you don't break...
Listen, I'm overloaded on Twitter. And
I know, that's why I'm going to give it a few
10
months.
Tweets today.
Maybe just before we go to Freedom Fest in July, we can do that. What do you think?
I don't know.
We'll get to it.
We'll see what I think about this whole technology thing. Listen, there are certain things I understand very well.
Yes, there's some things you do awesome, and
other things not so much. Not so awesome. Not so premium. I'm going to try and figure it out, though.
Well,
I just want to know how to follow a string. Like, if there's a topic I want to follow.
Hashtag.
Okay. How do I follow a hashtag?
I'll just show you how to do it. Hey, this Friday, all joking aside, this Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, I think that's 7 p.m. on the East Coast. I always get screwed up on that. The Liz Loris show, Soldier Talk Radio, will be on here at Pundit Press and SHR Media. And she's doing a 2-hour special about suicides in the military, PTSD, suicides after the military, and has some amazing information stories. And I'm going to check it out. I encourage everybody to check it out. I'm
excited about her show.
Her first show was awesome. If you haven't checked out Liz's show, you need to do so. You can go to Pundit Press and download the podcast. It was pretty awesome. So check out this Friday because it's 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 on the East. It's kind of a big deal. You don't want to miss it. That's all I'm saying. Other than Twitter, and otherwise than Twitter, hashtags don't work in the chat room, Clint.
Yes, they do. If you hashtag something, does it automatically post to Twitter?
No. See? Other than Twitter, how was your week?
What? Twitter was my week.
I know. This is embarrassing. It's funny, and it's true, but it's embarrassing. Other than that, you had a good week?
It was stressful.
I had a great week. Ask me about my week.
No, you had a great week. You just said it.
I know, but ask me
We're
about
talking about me right now.
Just ask me about it.
Okay, how was your week?
Awesome. Patriots won.
Soccer, take over.
Brought to you by...
Speaking of which, if you'd like to advertise with the Sackheads Radio Show or any of the amazing shows here on the SHR Media Network, you can email Sean at shrmedia.com. Don't help Sacco.
You'll hear my voice.
You will.
Brought to you by...
Your mom. Now
Yeah.
I'll turn the microphone
This segment
off.
of the program is brought to you by
Sacco's
your
mom.
show here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the advertisers aren't going to pay to hear about Sacco's mom.
Some of them might.
That's a good point. I didn't think
Thank
about
you. You
that.
didn't think about these things.
There's a lot of stories to tell.
And near the end of the show, I'm going to talk about how amazing the Exceptional Conservative Show is. And that's Monday through Friday. Mondays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. on the East Coast, Monday through Thursday, and then Friday mornings. I believe it's 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. on the 8 a.m. Sorry, 5 a.m., 8 a.m. And then this Friday night on Conservative Commandos in Philadelphia, the exceptional one himself will be live on terrestrial radio.
Yeah, and we were just thinking. I was looking at the clock, and it's 8:10, and 8:10 is gratuitous shout out to the black man. Minute, and I think that's actually a segment we have now.
I've only got through 35 seconds.
Right.
I want to talk to you about...
Now, hang on a second. We're getting called racist in the chat room.
Yeah.
And if those are other conservatives calling us racist, would that not be the pot calling the kettle black?
That would be the pot calling
the kettle black.
Oh.
It would be Ken calling somebody Obama black. I don't
right.
know how
I
that
think that's
works,
how that
but it
works.
would be something like that.
I
right?
need a slide ruler to figure it out.
And an abacus.
An abacus. You always need a good abacus.
I know how to use an abacus.
See, you know what? I was going to do the full minute on Ken, but just the last 15 seconds. We could just. Well, we're just not going to get to the last 15 seconds
of Ken
of the gratuitous Black Man Minute. So
and that's the actual name of the segment. It's the gratuitous Black Man Minute.
Right, but the last 15 seckets we're going to give.
And
back.
we can interchange black men. I mean, we could talk about Ken or Obama or Holder. I mean, pick one.
I'll pick Ken. How's that?
Okay.
So, make sure you check out all the great shows here on the SHR Media Network. We're carrying now Southern Sense, the news and commentary with Dan Butcher from Pundit Press, Southern Sense also on Pundit Press, the exceptional conservative show who's been our anchor from day one, and not because he's holding us down. It doesn't work that way. He's just our anchor. Rooster will be back eventually. He's doing a lot of website work for us soon. Jersey Joe Reaver Common Sense is coming back to Sundays here real soon. Working on another Sunday night show that we're working on, and hopefully we can get that squared away. And then, of course, Liz Loris on Fridays. So we're continuing to add more and more. We're also going to have Corey Evans going to do our weekend news desk, and he's going to do a weekend news show, so we're excited about that. So we're adding, and we're doing it for you to hopefully give us money at some point. That's really why we're doing it. But we'll take it. We're doing whatever we can to kind of build it up here. Thank you so much to Pundit Press for carrying us this evening. I know Thomas at Pundit Press is taking care of business tonight over there, and we're pretty excited about that as well. Love being with our partners over at Pundit Press. And don't forget to check out Jason Miller, 4 p.m. Monday through Friday here on the SHR Media Network. Did I get to all of them?
I cut you out when you started talking about Ken.
Man, tough room. Tough room.
Ken, what'd you do to him? He's so angry.
He's an angry, isn't he? Sacco, it's him, isn't it, on the show?
How am I angry right now?
I feel like we went back a month when we met the Scrooge. It's like,
I feel like we went back 250 years. In Georgia. I'm just saying sometimes, I just, what I want is, I just want you...
A Mad Dog and a Grape Swisher.
I would love a Mad Dog and a Grape Swisher. Hey, Ken, you know what I'm bringing you in Vegas in July? A Mad Dog and a Grape Swisher. And of course,
hang on, I got a hashtag Mad Dog and Grape Swisher.
oh my gosh.
Of course, Ken asked the most important question of the night: where are the white women at? In the chat room. So if you're listening on Spreaker and you're not in the chat room, go to shrmedia.com and click live chat, because you're missing out on all the fun in the chat room. We really have some great people that hang out in there during the show. Oh, man, I love this part of the job. I am a hell of a pitch man. I don't care what anyone says. I get it all out, one or the other. Mary just pointed out that she's a white woman after Ken asked that. I'm just saying, I think if Mary goes to Vegas, Mary's going to be on fire. Like, we may get a call from Vegas PD or the National Guard or something like that. That Mary's
Harry Reid's office.
Somebody.
Right.
Mary's just running rampant all over Vegas and just going nuts. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to bail money is what I'm saying.
If people find us at our booth, which I hope they do.
I hope they as well.
We love to hang out.
We do love to hang out.
And have fun.
We love to have a good time.
So come hang out.
We're like this all the time, so make sure...
No, literally.
Ken had a great idea for Vegas. One of the nights we have to do a Blazing Saddles night. Find a way. Maybe we'll do it at the event. Maybe we'll find a screen projector and play it behind us.
Hang on. I have a better idea.
Oh, no.
I say we have a Blazing Saddles night at the Conservative Black Caucus.
Ooh. I can go as Mongo.
And I'll go as...
You can go as Gene Wilder.
Yes.
Ken can go
and Sacco can go as the sheriff.
Yes. Ken can go as Cleveland Little. This is going to be awesome. I love it, Sacco. You're going to have to Google Blazing Saddles.
Wait.
Sacco, it's a movie.
Is with the safe search on or off?
Both. It doesn't matter. I just want to see which version of it Sacco gets.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. So much to talk about tonight. Right off the bat.
What?
It sounds as if that our good friend Mittens is going to be throwing out his name once again for the 2016 election. Really? I don't even know what else to say.
You did not read the title of the segment.
I'm sorry. Seriously, Mitt? Take a hint.
Right.
Take the hint.
You
Mitt.
lost twice.
Right. This isn't baseball. It's not 3 strikes and you're out. It's 2 strikes and you're out. And listen, you know,
this isn't a 7-game series where you lose 4.
I've said before and I say again, Mitt Romney is a human being, is a fantastic human being. He's an awesome person. Politics aside, he is a very sweet man. The whole family is wonderful. He's a nice guy.
How do you know?
I've met him a few times.
Oh, well, why don't I just sit over here and be quiet?
Ken says that Bob Dole said if Romney does, he'll do too.
Romney ticket. Romney Dole.
We may have to just get that write-in done. Romney Dole 2016.
That would be awesome. Hang on. I'm going to hashtag blame Sean
Romney Dole
ticket.
That being said, even before we get to the politics aspect and how centrist he is on a lot of things, and I know a lot of people think that we're a center country.
That just went out.
I know. A center-right country. But even if Mitt was more conservative or more right than he actually is.
And he's not right on a lot of things.
No,
he's not right on
a lot of things.
Let's go through a few of them.
We can go through.
Shall we?
Yes.
Didn't he once say that abortions should be safe and legal?
Yes.
And that Roe v. Wade should be upheld?
Yes.
And then during the presidential campaign at some point, wasn't he firmly pro-life, quote-unquote?
Yes.
And he wanted Roe v. Wade overturned?
Yes.
Okay. And then during the campaign, he said he was pro-2A.
Right.
Yet he signed a assault weapons, which he can't even define, probably, ban during Massachusetts.
Absolutely. I was
okay, so he's full of crap. And then he denounced the federal health care legislation, yet he supported Romney Care, signed it into law in Massachusetts.
Right.
And we've talked about that. State issue, not prohibited by the Constitution. We disagree with it, but the states, maybe you can have an argument they could do it, whereas the feds cannot, not in the powers of the Constitution. But he did it. A conservative would not do that. Didn't at one time he support global warming or say humans had something to do with global warming? And then he said, oh, yeah, no, there's no such thing as climate change. Really, because it dropped 10 degrees here in the last couple hours, so obviously the climate change
It's still
here.
hot as hell.
Yeah, right. Right. And those are just a few examples off the top of our head. I think during the debates, the presidential debates, he made a comment that our education system is bad because something to the effect of, and I don't remember the exact wording, the federal government didn't take an active role in not a federal issue.
Yeah. No, it's... And listen, I think Mitt would be...
And that's just that's just like...
that's off the cuff.
Right.
And there's some things that Mitt was right about, absolutely, especially when it came down to Russia, Obamacare. Like, he has been right about some things. And I think Mitt would be a good, maybe, cabinet member or advisor on economics and stuff like that because he's a good money guy. I don't think, A, he's electable. I just don't think he's electable because he's flip-flopped so much. But B, I don't think that he will go and maintain the set of values that conservatives would want to see elected. And even if he runs on these values, and I know 4 years adds a lot of time for people's memory to erase. But he's going to go in, and he's going to turn around, and he's going to have a very conservative... You watch, mark my words. He's going to have an overly conservative message this time around. He's going to come out as the hardest right person out of the big names of those who are running that we know of
just for the primary, like he did last time.
Right. And then all of a sudden he's going to swoon back to the center to try to get the centrists and the independents, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about this before. When it comes to elections, we believe the best thing conservatives can do is stay conservative. If you lose on conservative values, at least you lose on your principle.
But we don't know what his principles are. His
Well,
principles
I'm talking
may
in
actually
general.
be.
I'm talking to whoever's going to run and get elected, or try to get elected.
Okay.
Stay a conservative all the way through.
How's about this? Stay what you are.
Right. If you're a conservative,
right?
No quote unquote. If you're a conservative, don't make the mistake of leaning towards the middle once you get past the primary into the general, because you're going to grab independents. Because you know what? You may not win this time around. But as history is showing, conservatism is growing more and more throughout this country. The worse it gets, the more conservative people are. And this is a trend that happens regularly through this country. And we're starting to get into that trend. So if I am setting myself up, listen, I firmly believe there's nobody in the field right now that is electable for 2016 as a Republican conservative, an actual conservative. We don't have a conservative who's a great speaker, who can rally people, and has a good message. We have a lot of these rhino Republicans who can speak really well and rally some people, but conservatives are going to stay home for them. And then you have Jeb Bush at the end of the day. So I have no hopes for 2016. I know that sounds horrible, and you could say, "Oh, Sean, you gotta." I don't think Ted Cruz is running in 2016. I think he's too smart. You may see. They just threw out the name Perry. You may see
Rand Paul,
but I don't think he's electable. You may see. Cruz can run, by the way.
He's naturalized. And
his mother, I believe, is American.
Mm-hmm. He's naturalized
and
citizen.
was still a citizen at the time, which is the exact same argument that the left had. Who was recently elected where there was questions about their citizenship? And they pushed and pushed and pushed that because his mother was an American citizen, he became naturalized. Who was that? I want to say it was right around 2008. 2008, something like that. There was a guy that was elected to something. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Either way.
Either way, I don't think Ted Cruz will run. I don't think Ted Cruz will ever run. And here's why.
Because if he did, he'd probably have a heart attack. I mean, the guy doesn't run or exercise. You can obviously tell that.
No,
like,
Ted
he hasn't
Cruz.
hit it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ted Cruz.
Okay.
No, I don't think Ted Cruz will ever run. I really believe that Ted Cruz wants to be a senator from Texas to represent the people of Texas or the state of Texas. And I think that's what he feels his calling is for now. And I think he's going to stay there out of principle, to be completely honest. Not because he's scared or anything like that. I think he's one of those people that will stay there because of his principle. This is what I was elected to do. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to stay here till it's fixed. I don't think Ted Cruz is going to change as a politician. And maybe down the line, but I don't.
Which is why he should run.
Right, but I don't think he will in 2016. I see Rick Perry. Rick Perry doomed himself on that
last time.
Yeah, the last time.
What departments would you shut down?
Yeah, and I know
stuff.
that was an moment where
and I like Rick Perry.
Right, and Rick Perry's a smart guy. There's nothing wrong with Rick Perry, but that alone, I think, destroyed him to ever get elected. That one bad debate destroyed his opportunity to get elected. And it's sad, but it's true. Unless they really hit it and he gets out and speaks a lot, and I mean a lot, it will take a lot to undo what he did to himself. As far as best choices that I think would run, I don't think Scott Walker's going to run. I think he's going to give it another 4 years. I think if you see a true conservative come out of the woodwork and all of a sudden jump to the front of the pack and start running, I think you may see Sarah throw her name into VP again for a true conservative.
You know what? I was just Paul Ryan's not going to run.
No,
he announced.
He announced today, I think, or yesterday.
But I'll tell you what. I think that I'm going to say this name again. I think that Rand Paul could be a dark horse here. Look, he's polling in the top 5 ish, and there's 20 some odd Republicans that have kind of thrown their hat in the ring, or are probably going to be throwing their hat in the ring. And Rand Paul is consistently top 5 ish, and he appeals to conservatives, and he appeals to libertarians,
Mm-hmm.
which will pull some of that liberal vote.
Yeah.
I think he's electable.
Well, and
I really do. I think Rand Paul is completely electable. Now, you will never agree with any candidate 100%, or
Right.
at least I hope you would, unless it's yourself, right? Then you think you're awesome. High five yourself. Like
even
you
then,
and
I
do
wouldn't vote for
at a
myself.
show.
I know I can be a jerk.
But I think that he would have a real shot.
I think right, and I don't know. You know, I see everyone bringing up Ron Paul, and that a lot of conservatives have a hard time with his dad. I think a lot of people know the separation, and
Yes.
we're talking
And
about
there is.
we're talking about conservatives now. We're not talking about the general populace. We're not talking about the low info voters on the left. We're talking about conservatives who are paying attention. They know the difference between Ron and Rand. Whether or not he gets elected or whether or not he runs, I don't know. I think you're seeing more libertarians pop up in the country, which a lot of people are calling centrist conservatives. There's a bunch of different things. But I think you're seeing people who want the Conservative Party to get away from certain social issues and just stop having the fight. You know, but fiscally he's fairly conservative. Mm-hmm. And now we bring down, as Ken brought up, all the black guys. Dr. Carson.
Didn't we try that?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
No, that was a different... Dr. Ben Carson, I think he's too smart to run. I really do. I think he is too intelligent to run because he knows that he is on a different scale. If he ran, he would get my vote.
You know, I don't know, because I don't know where he stands on all of the issues.
Okay.
He stood up to Obama, which I liked.
Yep.
He's very well spoken. He is conservative on a lot of issues, which I like. I don't know enough about his politics to say that I would vote for him. I see Iggy's mom brought up in the chat room Alan West.
Mm-hmm.
I would vote for Alan West.
I would vote for Alan West in a moment too.
Hands down.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you put up Rand Paul, Adam West, and Rick Perry, I'd certainly pick Adam West.
Yeah.
Wait, that's Batman.
Wait, what?
I'm kidding. I know it's Alan
You
West.
know who could run on the Republican ticket and probably be more conservative than Jeb Bush or
Jerry Brown.
Yeah, the governor. If Jerry Brown ran, look, he gets like a B rating from the NRA.
Yep.
He's pretty fiscally conservative,
except for the train to nowhere.
But other than that, he's pretty fiscally conservative. He's very liberal socially.
West and 60.
But what's funny is he was more conservative than
Neil Kashkari, who ran against him as the Republican.
Right.
I think the biggest problem we have right now as a party, and I know we're coming up against the end of the segment, is we don't have
a clear message.
We don't have a clear message.
There's no cohesiveness.
No, and we don't have the person that's going to stand up to the old guard in the Republican Party and break away.
But it's not the old guard is really the conservatives. It's these new kind of hybrid Republicans.
But they're the ones in charge right now, and that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Your Ryan Priebus and all that stuff. Those are the guys I'm talking about. That's kind of the new,
Lance
if you will.
Lispness.
Huh?
What?
You
know what? But the Republican Party is breaking Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, which is you shall not talk bad about other
candidates.
Republicans.
I don't know why we do that.
We just did it.
Know why.
We just did it.
Yeah, but we're not running for office.
True.
By the way, if you have a chance, there's a bunch I was watching YouTube last night. I was watching a whole bunch of Reagan videos just because it was one of those days that I needed to get a little Ronnie in my system. And there's a great about 15-minute clip, and I think it's in the Reagan Library, of all of his little jokes and stories that he used to tell, especially about the communists. If you have a chance, you need to check that out because it is an absolute riot, and it reminds you what a brilliant man he was, on top of how sharp-witted, but just his delivery, the whole story was great. And make sure you check that out after the show this evening. We're up against a break. When we come back, Terror Block.
You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid club.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on The Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border,
okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to the Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Oh, my mic's falling. There we go. My mic just almost fell. That never happens. It must be I must need Viagra for my microphone. It's weird, right?
You're not supposed to put your mouth around it.
Well, I like to push it up with my nose. It's weird. I don't know why.
Because it's natural for you. This what?
No, go ahead.
Am I wrong?
No.
Okay.
Go on.
On the terror block this week. Look, more developments in Paris. So on Friday there were a couple different hostage standoffs in France, and on Friday, one individual, not one of the two that were involved in the Charlie Hebdo murders, but another individual affiliated with the group that now they believe is a small cell made up of approximately 10 individuals or so, give or take a couple, and one went into a kosher food store, a kosher supermarket. In a part of Paris, and there were I think four killed in the supermarket, and that individual, that terrorist, was killed, and then the two suspects, Sharif and Saeed Kouachi, went into a printing company in a city 22 miles northeast of Paris, and was holding a hostage at that location when police ultimately made entry. And both of those suspects were killed as well. The individual at the kosher food store is believed to have been the same individual who killed a police officer, a policewoman in Montreux. Forgive me, I don't speak French, so if I mispronounce your city, sorry. There was other reports that there was a woman with that shooter, believed to be his wife, I think, who was able to escape, and she is still at large. They're still looking for her. Obviously, high alert. But now that the French police say that there are up to 6 terror suspects that may still be outstanding, that they were a part of a small terrorist cell operating together. They believe that some of them were driving in a Mini Cooper that's registered to the woman. Over 10,000 troops are deployed in France that are protecting various sensitive locations, including Jewish neighborhoods and businesses and schools and so forth.
Where do we start? And that's the problem: is where do you start?
Well, here's the other thing. There was a march held, and it was a march to show unity and a march in support of the French people and against terrorism. And there are a couple things with this march that I take umbrage with.
Okay.
Number one, the French didn't want Benjamin Netanyahu there.
Mm-hmm.
He was there.
I love... First of all, I love Bibi, and one of the things that I think is absolutely amazing is he's like, hey, you know what? A whole bunch of Jews died in this, and I want them to know that I stand with them as the leader of the Jewish community, or the, Israel. So I'm going to go. Yeah, we don't want you to come to our rally. Yeah, so I'm the leader, and I'm going to go.
Right. We lost people in this attack.
Think about just what that says. What that says to the Jewish people of the world. Who are you going to support? You're going to support the guy that's going to stand up for you. And God bless Bibi for doing what's right again for his country and his people. And the man is just aces. I don't care what anyone says. I really, really think that it's just absolutely amazing.
Oh, you're looking. I thought you had more to say on that.
No, that was it.
Okay. Okay. And our own president.
Yeah.
Didn't go.
Yeah, or send anyone important.
As a matter of fact, Eric Holder, who actually isn't that important, left.
Yeah.
Flew out of Paris the same day.
Yeah.
And the White House couldn't.
Well, and here's a couple different things to look at. Secretary of State John Kerry. Well, let's start at the top. And I wrote an article on shrmedia.com.
Now you're bragging.
And if you have a chance, I appreciate it if you check it out. But
now you're bragging.
No, I am bragging. It's not a big deal.
I know you are. Look.
Hold on. Let's start at the top.
No. Okay, at the top, Obama.
Yes. What was he doing? If you looked at his schedule on Sunday, if you looked at his schedule on Saturday, nothing. There was nothing on his public schedule. Yeah, it was cleared for football. Easily could have jumped on a plane. Now, the White House, one of the things the White House cited as the reason he did not go
was security.
Security concerns.
There are how many other world leaders there?
Like 50.
That had 72 hours notice to put together details 50. And to go?
50.
Yeah. Pretty sure he'd have been able to swing it.
Yeah, you could have got through there.
This was such a missed opportunity for the United States.
Yes.
And I put that on all of us as a country because we as a country elected this knucklehead.
Buffoon.
This was an opportunity for the President of the United States. Look, this guy did a tour all over the world talking about how America sucked and we're sorry for everything we did. Remember that?
Yes. Oh, don't I remember that.
And now he has an opportunity to come and show unity.
And after Benghazi, we paid for ads talking about how much we sucked.
Right. So at this march, he has the opportunity to join more than 40 world leaders to show solidarity with the people of France and as the supposed leader of the free world, to actually stand up and take that leadership role to denounce terrorism and to say that we stand together with these 40 other nations of diverse backgrounds, of diverse political beliefs, diverse religious beliefs, and to really be a leader on this issue.
Yep.
Like Reagan would have done.
WWRD.
Remember
What would
Gorbachev,
Reagan
the
do?
Gorbachev tear down this wall speech he
Yeah.
gave?
Yeah.
He could have had a moment similar to that
He absolutely could have.
on the world stage.
Sadly, he thinks that regulating ties with Cuba is his Reagan tear down this wall speech. But either way.
Or he's thinking tear down the walls of Guantanamo.
Yeah, exactly. Tear down this wall and we'll give you Guantanamo back is probably one of the deals that's being worked. You have to understand, when you're supposed to be the leader of the free world, and I know we can argue on a lot of different things. We can argue on his backdoor reasons, whatever. Just his presence. When you're the president of the United States of America and something like this happens, you're supposed to be the one who's the leader of the free world, and you're supposed to be out in front of it. You're supposed to be the person at the forefront saying, we will not allow free citizens in this world to be terrorized and attacked by mongrel little monsters.
Right, and we stand with the rest of the nations
that
do that. Now, Bob Beckel on Fox News, and he's on the 5, he talked about how he wasn't, something to the effect that he really wasn't upset that Obama was not there. Yes, he maybe should have been, but Obama is really kind of leading this coalition that's bombing ISIS and taking military action from the skies. And is there a point there? Yes, there's a point there. Obama is kind of half-heartedly leading, so to speak, this coalition to fight ISIS. Granted, there's no ground troops in there, and you're not going to do a whole heck of a lot from the air, but there is that effort there, and so I do have to give...
He could arm the Kurds.
I have to give a very little... He could. I have to give a very little bit to that. However, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a very public place, a very public venue, after a very tragic and horrific terror attack, where the president could have stood up and really made a statement. And really made a statement even by his mere presence. But couple that with a powerful, heartfelt speech. And look, he represents America as a nation. He doesn't represent Barack Hussein Obama at that point.
Well, the problem is I think he thinks he does.
It's another failed opportunity of this president. And look, the White House press secretary had a very difficult time answering questions.
Any questions.
And accounting for the president's whereabouts. And he was hedging and hemming and hawing. And, I mean, I guess he acknowledged, we probably should have said somewhere.
Yeah, we could have showed up.
So if there was an emergency and the president said, hey, I have to fly to wherever right now.
Not for 72 hours.
They couldn't do it?
Not for 72 hours. We have to get out ahead of it.
Right.
We have to be.
Sorry, Mr. President, you can't go to this crisis because we really have to. That's a bunch of garbage.
Well, and somebody else, and I think it was Ron in the chat room, brought up a good point. Is he never speaks out against Islamist terrorism, and I agree with that. The only time he ever denounces it is when he's kind of forced to.
And he says
extremists. He won't say terrorism.
Right.
Those who hijack the Muslim religion. He will say every single metaphor for Islamist terrorist or Muslim terrorist, but he will not say it. And I think that was part of this. I think when he made that speech, what was it, in Cairo 4 years ago, I think that he really believes that the terrorists will not attack. I really think so if he goes easy on them.
But we talked about this last week, and the French's history of appeasement.
Right.
And look where it's got them.
Exactly. Look at what open borders has done for them.
Yeah, we
appeasement.
We talked about that last week, all the money they've paid out and everything else to try and appease these extremist groups. So that's Obama. Now Biden. Here's why they
didn't have a babysitter.
Here's why they didn't send Biden. Biden would have walked in and said, "Hey, last time I was here, y'all were about to speak German. Remember that?"
Hey, nice leg, sweetheart. Find a razor and come back and talk to me later. No, I
heard all you French broads were easy. Is that true?
I almost can understand why you wouldn't send Joe to something like that. I mean, just the difficulty alone with that. You know, I just picture like them doing like a sweep of downtown Paris, maybe afterwards when people are celebrating or whatever, and Joe's got like his pants off in a bar. Just be like, I don't know, I was just sent here on vacation. Was there a parade or something today? You guys really do good parades. I don't know what the hell happened.
I'm wearing my rainbow pin. This is a gay pride parade, right?
Call B.O. Tell him I'm going to be a few days late, if you know what I mean. You know, like...
Okay, so we agree with not sending Joe.
Right. So then we get down to Secretary of State Kerry.
Secretary of State, but Boner's third in line.
Boner's third in line, but when it comes to the administration being represented on an international level...
They should have sent a Sackhead, you're right.
They should have sent one of us. But Kerry is the first when it comes to that sort of thing.
Okay, even above a Sackhead.
No, but they were going to call us anyhow.
It's maybe in the Constitution somewhere. It should be an amendment.
It should be an amendment. We can get it added. Kerry was in Germany 24 hours earlier when Merkel was there. He had to fly to India to some economic summit meeting in India, and I'm pretty sure all the Indian leaders flew to France.
Wait. Like Sioux Nation, like
right? No, the Indian.
Oh,
over in
the country
Asia,
of India.
Yeah,
got it.
Right. So
Kerry's there. There's a note on his door.
Yeah.
Just in case you were stupid enough to come here instead of going to Paris, we all went to France.
Valerie Jarrett didn't go because she's actually in charge, and they didn't want to risk her getting hurt. Now, so Kerry, who was in Germany,
Madam President,
24 hours earlier, and that's kind of his gig, couldn't be bothered to go. So now we get down to Holder. I think Holder should have went. If Holder's still listening, I know it's late at his time, but if Holder went, that would be awesome. But we get down to Eric Holder.
He was there.
He was there.
And I don't think he should even be the next one to go.
I don't think he should be either, but at least it's somebody.
Right.
And we could talk about how much Holder sucks. We all know Holder sucks. There's no questions asked. Holder's down for a good march, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He's all for that sort of thing. I mean, look at how much he's promoted when things go south in this country to get people out marching.
Yeah.
March, baby.
He's practically a drill instructor.
Right. I mean, if anyone could get a group of people rallied together and march without even showing up.
Right. It's him.
Holder. Now imagine if he showed up. Which, by the way, there's a great hashtag on Twitter, now that you're on Twitter, called Reasons Obama Didn't Go to France. And one of them said, is Obama didn't go because that's the Reverend Al's thing, was a march. There was the Holder one that I just talked of. There's a whole bunch of them in there. If you get a chance, check it out.
There was the Naked Twister.
The Naked Twister one that
Obama
you sent out.
and Boehner.
Right. So,
which may be true.
So now you get down to Speaker Boehner or somebody to that effect. The simple fact of the matter is the ball was dropped overall. There should have been a senior administration leader at this march, and he should have represented this country in unity against terrorism by Islamist terrorists, Islamist extremists, Muslim terrorists, whatever you want to call it. And I loved what Ken called it earlier, that cult that is murdering people all over the world. And all they did was essentially make the U.S. ambassador to France, what a tough job that must be, and I forget her name, but they made her work on a Sunday, essentially. They made her get up on a Sunday. They probably gave her like an extra day off during the week. And like, hey, can you go show up? Nobody's going to take your picture or anything, but we'll take your picture so we can say you were there. But we just want to be able to say that somebody went. I mean, I don't know if Obama was just too jet-lagged from his 2-week trip in Hawaii. I don't know if I assume Michelle would go to France in a second. That's shopping opportunity right there.
Right. They have perfume or something over there.
Yeah, absolutely. New ugly dresses, a whole bunch of things.
Right.
That she could buy. But seriously, you get down. Okay, send the First Lady. Send Dr. Biden, Joe's wife.
Look, maybe you know what? Maybe they couldn't get like airline tickets. Maybe they were sold out.
They called up the Air Force. They're like, "Ooh, yeah, space aid travel, no room for you. Sorry."
Right. Air Force One is down for maintenance. We have a few other airplanes he could fly in, right? Just a couple.
Anyone he's in is Air Force One.
Right.
So
put him in a Cessna and refuel it the whole way. I don't care.
They're just overhauling all of the what are the Night Watch or the Night Hawks or whatever, which are the 747s that are essentially Air Force One. I just read an article today that they're redoing all of those for nuclear disasters so the country can still be run.
What, the helicopters?
No, 747s.
Oh, okay.
E-4Bs is their designation. Could have
Why
sent
did
one of them.
Did you say Nighthawk?
Yeah, it's not. You're thinking Black Hawk.
I'm thinking Black Hawk.
I forget what.
Sorry, Ken.
What their nickname is.
Ken is the Black Hawk.
Cessna 1. Dude, that's Ken's.
Ken is
nickname.
the Black Hawk.
The Black Hawk.
The conservative Black Hawk. If I say that too close together, it sounds dirty, it's not meant to be at all. Black Hawk.
Right, you have to really pronunciate the H.
Right.
And somebody else said that, what? I don't want there to be any confusion.
No, Ken, you're not White Hawk, you're Black Hawk.
I can go as the White Sparrow.
Right.
And Susan Rice would have went, but there was no video to discuss. Now, listen, this is an embarrassment. And I know
of epic proportions.
Of epic proportions. And I know we could talk about all of our individual beliefs.
And a slap in the face.
But a slap in the face, I couldn't agree with you more. Most people don't know. Do you know the first foreign leader to visit the United States after the 9/11 attack? French president. Yeah. They 5 days, I think. 6 days, something like that. And they were also one of the first people to offer support to us domestically after the 9/11. Food, money, whatever we
Did you know
needed.
they were the first ones to support us in our bid for independence?
Yeah. And we could talk.
You know, they sent us a gift that stands in New York Harbor.
Yeah. That's kind of a big one, too. Yeah, I know we kind of saved their rear end in WW2.
And won.
But they've always been kind of thankful. Listen, the history between France and America goes back
literally to our
years.
Founding.
Literally
to our founding.
Without the French, there's a chance we may not have won our independence when we did. We would have done it eventually.
Look, without the French, there would never have been a French-Indian War.
Yeah, this is true.
Right?
Right.
Without the French, we would not have fries.
And this is... we still have freedom fries,
which
baby.
is a huge American
We still have freedom
tradition.
fries, baby. Politics aside, and this is one of those things, as much as it does have to do with politics, it doesn't. This isn't about...
This is above politics.
This is about saying to the French people who are our allies and who reached out to us very recently in our time of need that we stand with you. And this will not be tolerated on a world level. And we are going to get those bastards, and we're going to help you get those bastards.
Did Obama ever send out a photo of I Am Charlie, like him holding an I Am Charlie sign?
No, I didn't see that. I know there's one
now,
that
I
says...
can understand McCain not holding an I Am Charlie sign.
Right, because that would be
that
awkward.
would be awkward for him.
I know I tweet out a sign, and I can't really validate where it came from, but there's one that says "Je suis not going," signed B.O. I don't know if that was from the president.
Yeah, that's
I don't
unconfirmed whether he actually wrote that or not.
Things just get out on the internet.
Right.
And who knows where these silly things start. Certainly not in studios anywhere.
No.
You know, but what you've told, and what you've also told the terrorists is, it can be taken one of two ways, and it'll be interesting to see. Either I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight you over this. You guys do what you do, and as long as you don't do it here, I'm not going to fight you. Or you're going to incite them even more by turning around. Because, listen, they're already pissed, and they're already going to do these horrible things. But you essentially may have said to them, yeah, this attack wasn't bad enough for me to show up.
Right.
So if you really want me to come out, you got to do it again, and you got to do something more. I think if he showed up at this march, gave a good solid speech at the end, like you said, and looked all those terrorists in the eye, if you will, and threw up his middle finger and said, "You know what?"
Literally, I want to see him do that. Literally.
Oh, we've talked about that a few times.
Yes.
This isn't going to happen, and we're not going to tolerate it. And believe it or not, remember when Bush said, "It doesn't matter where you are, we're going to get you," and everyone made fun. Oh, damn redneck! We're going to get you. But that's what needs to be said. These people need to live in fear that there's going to be a door opening in their little shack that they'll never hear, and they'll never wake up. They need to be fear every time they hear an airplane approaching that there's going to be ordnance dropping. They need to be in fear that the next time they walk into a store in this country or a place of business or a public place and try something like this, that there's going to be armed citizens ready to fight back. They need to fear us because that is the only thing they understand. Fear and power. And they don't want to negotiate. They don't want to do any of that. If you believe their ideology and if you read into what they say, if they truly believe in their ideology, they are not going to stop this until the entire world is Muslim. And that's if you just believe their outright ideology. I think there's a lot more than that. I think that it all has to do with politics and power, and this is just their way of trying to take control. But at the end of the day, you need to stand against these people, these monsters, these animals.
And I think we do. But the president should be out there on the forefront on the world stage doing
Absolutely.
it. And he failed to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I do agree with you in terms of arming the citizenry.
Yeah.
Look, there's a new bulletin, and I didn't want to get it out until Nick's terror block, but just yesterday, the New York Police Department and the FBI issued alerts again after ISIS puts out yet another video calling for attacks on law enforcement here in the United States.
Overt.
Specifically. And not only that, but the video urged the murder of intelligence officers as well as police officers, soldiers, and other civilians. Look, 2A, the Second Amendment, is about individual liberty, and you talk about the right to self-defense and all these other things, and defense against an oppressive government. You can talk about all of those things, but the basic core of self-defense is key, and it's key under the theory of natural law, that we have a natural right to self-defense. The right to keep and bear arms is an extension of that. It's a means for us to be able to exercise our God-given rights and right to self-defense. So if you talk about we have an enemy, and France actually outright said that they are at war with radical Islam.
Oh yeah,
they actually grew a pair.
Weird, right?
Yeah, and this is you have a socialist country, a socialist president declaring war on radical Islam, and our president, I apologize, refuses to do so. But this is a national security issue.
Extremists.
Our people, and there's a Republican Congress now, pass a law reaffirming 2A, pass a law authorizing the American people to carry concealed, unless they have certain felony convictions or whatever. That's fine, but authorize that under the whole national security issue.
I think that's a great idea.
Because if ISIS believed, let's say they believed that even 50% of the American population was armed, 25%, that's 1 in 4. That means if they go into a shopping mall filled with 200 people, 25% of them are going to be shooting back potentially. Right? They'll be engaging 50 people.
I love those odds.
And they're all going to be shooting at people in black masks and balaclavas and pajamas.
Right.
carrying AK-47s because
Mhm.
everybody else will have a handgun.
There's a great picture out there that went through Twitter that said Paris, France, and it was a picture of the two terrorists. Thank you, Sako. There was a picture of the two terrorists when they were executing the police officer who gave himself up. And in the same picture, right next to it, it's the exact same picture, except there's a scope photoshopped in on the terrorist. It said Paris, Texas. It's so true.
It is.
It is so perfect. And it really sums up. And that the problem is with this this nation is we lose sight of the fact that we have to defend ourselves. Hey, we're up against a break. When we come back in 3 minutes here on the Sackheads Radio Show, we will get back into Terror Block with some more information. Back in a minute.
Controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid club.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sako as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to the Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. We're also simulcasting on Spreaker this evening, so if you want to check that out, please feel free to do so. So, moving on with Terror Block, and this is kind of a whole segment. First of all, I just kind of want to wrap up real quick on what we were talking about before the break, and some of the things that the president could have done. I think back to Reagan with Libya when he attacked Gaddafi's home, and I know that's like one nation and one guy that we were going after, but sent the bombs over, said, "Hey, don't ever screw with us again." And believe it or not, Gaddafi kind of shut up for a long time. It's amazing how that worked. But
he did. Yeah, he just gave hours-long rambling speeches at the UN and then went back and
Right, he wanted
did
to rent out
nothing
all of
else.
Central Park for his tents. And
Right.
he was just a goofball after that, but it was great.
Never screwed with us again.
It's weird, right? It's kind of like it works.
Right.
And that was something that I really wish that we as a nation would have done. Is everywhere that we're targeting right now in the Middle East and Yemen and everything like that, Afghanistan, you name it, anywhere that we had a bead that we knew it was terrorist activity, if within 24 hours we just lit up those regions, lit them up something fierce, it just dropped massive amounts of ordnance.
Yes.
And
or one ordinance that would light it up for a long period of time and
make it glow,
superheat.
or
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of different possibilities with that. Either way, some sort of response would have been a good one. Now, less than a week later, the Cyber Caliphate, as they call themselves,
That sounds positive.
and they're kind of like the
nerds of
the
ISIS.
nerds of ISIS, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it's essentially if ISIS had a Sacco, this is something that he would be doing.
Right. If ISIS had a group that LARPed,
yes,
this is what they would do to spread their
missile,
terror.
Magic missile. So the U.S. Central Command at CENTCOM on Twitter was hacked by the Cyber Caliphate, which, as you said, is the nerd arm of
right, the ISIS nerds.
ISIS nerds. They changed the pictures on their Twitter
Horrible.
to somebody with a face wrap on. They responded, or they actually tweeted from the account, "American soldiers, we're coming for you. Watch your back, ISIS."
Horrific. These guys nailed it.
Yeah, these guys were just on it. They also hacked their YouTube videos, apparently. They hacked a lot.
From their mom's basement.
Yes. And the other
Do they have basements?
I think so. I think it's their mom. Yeah, because wasn't Hussein in a basement, like a spider hole? I think that's what they have over there.
Okay.
There is, and then they activated some cameras across different military bases on desktops and laptops. There's a picture, looks like a couple soldiers in an office somewhere that they activated the camera and took the picture. So it's scary to me to think that they have the, and I know it's only Twitter, but that camera hack shows that it was more than Twitter, and it's scary to me that these ragtag groups of morons can do it. Now, I want to read one of the tweets. It's a picture that they sent out on Twitter, and it kind of extended what I said earlier. It says, "American soldiers, we're coming, watch your back, ISIS, Cyber Caliphate. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful." It's kind of weird how they throw out the word mercy, as I just watched them shoot a police officer in the head that was begging for his life, who, by the way, was Muslim.
Right.
It's just kind of weird, but I digress. The Cyber Caliphate, under this auspices of ISIS, continues its cyber jihad. While the U.S. and its satellites kill our brothers in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, we broke into your networks and personal devices, and we know everything about you. You'll see no mercies, infidels. I'm an infidel. ISIS is already here. They're in your PCs in each military base. With Allah's permission, we are in CENTCOM now. Do you have to get a permission slip for that? I don't know how they did that, but that's kind of amazing.
Is it written or is it verbal?
Written.
Is it explicit or implied?
I think it's implied, unlike Major League Baseball, that you need explicit written consent.
Okay.
We won't stop. We know everything about you, your wives, your children. Now you've gone too far.
Why are they sexist?
We're watching you.
Why did they
Here's
only
part of
break
the
into
confidential data from your mobile devices. There's no God, blah, 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 blah. I don't like to repeat it. And they did get into some mobile devices owned by the feds and by the military. There's a couple different things here. Now, listen, the military, them hacking their Twitter, that's not hard. We have every reason to believe, and this is going to be news to you too, because I haven't told you today, is that we were hacked last night on our Live 365, our feed page. Yes, somebody had got in and they kept repeatedly killing shows and shutting the show feeds off. And I watched it because we have the remote desktop, and you could see the show's getting cut out. It wasn't a drop. It wasn't a feed issue. It wasn't anything like that. Somebody was intentionally in Jason
trying
Miller,
to silence us.
Trying to silence us. Without exaggeration, I had to go in and I changed all the passwords and it immediately stopped because it caused everyone to log back in. It absolutely
Listen,
happened.
Sacco, you don't have to be doing stuff like that to show us how awesome you are, okay? Or that you can control content because we keep you locked in a cage. Because I just want to point out, that happened the 1 week we allowed Sacco his parole.
Right. Once again, Sacco's out of the cage and this sort of thing happens.
No. You kept me in the cage and this sort of thing happened.
Let's not...
No.
You're entitled to your own opinions,
just knows
but not your own
through the
facts.
trash.
He knows it through the trash. But it happened to us. Now, like I said last night when Jason called me, it could be a 16-year-old kid in mom's basement just screwing around. But we've said a lot of things the last couple of weeks that have incited a lot of different people. And the server on Live 365, the portal in order to get in, it is only a decent amount of security on it. I mean, it's not like they could access information or anything. It's just to turn it on and off. So for the Twitter to get hacked, I'm like, okay, it's just Twitter. If Clint's Twitter got hacked tomorrow,
it would probably be me just not knowing how to use it.
Right. It would be a self-hack.
Right.
But when
I have to hack into it just to get it to work because I don't know how to do it properly.
But when they're getting into military-grade mobile devices and computers and stuff like that are being used by the military...
You mean low bid?
Yes.
Okay.
And
let's call it what it is. Low bid. Okay, go ahead.
But there's heavy encryption and there's heavy password protection and layers of protection, etc. They got into that. They actually proved that they got into some of the other... areas because they actually had information that was legit information. It tells me that we're once again not prepared for cyber attacks from these people. I'm not shocked that Sony got attacked no matter who did it. And we depend too much as a military on this technology and it could come back to bite you in the rear end.
So hang on a second. So who hacked SAC?
I don't know who hacked SAC. I did file a complaint with
Was it a hacky SAC?
It was a hacky sack. We were kicked.
Or was it a sacky
We were
hack?
kicked right in the hacky sack.
It was a sacky hack.
It was a sacky hack.
So,
but
was it ISIS?
I don't know. I have no way of telling.
Was it the North Koreans?
I have no way of telling.
Was it Putin because we call him Putt-Putt?
Was it the new Black Panther Party?
Was it a Democratic operative?
Was it a Democratic
Was it Boner?
It could have been Boner.
Because
we
worked Boner pretty hard last week.
We certainly did.
We slapped Boner around a lot last week.
But the fact that they're hacking into that sort of things, and they just took pictures this time, but what if they were coordinating attacks? And they were able to get into computers in the rooms that they're about to attack because there are computers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And find out exactly where and when everybody was inside. The amount of information they can gather by that is absolutely insane and scary. So that's something to me that says that we were not prepared for that at all. And then sticking to modern technology and things that go viral, there's a video out on YouTube right now by ISIS, the wonderful people that brought you the beheading of American citizens and so on and so forth, of he's what, 11? 10 or 11?
He looks like to be around 10 years old. Now, wait a second. I have one question. Do we know that it is pronounced ISIS? Or is it just is?
Ooh. Maybe if they did that, it would sound cuter and people would like them more. Is cut some heads off today.
It's like a candy.
On people that we... Right.
Did you? I want some is.
Who doesn't want is?
Right?
It sounds a lot better.
It sounds a lot better. Let's do that.
You should be in marketing.
No, you know what? I suggest right now, because we know the Obama administration listens, I suggest that you start calling it is because it sounds more friendly. And it goes more along with your false narrative that they're not
bad people.
Islamic extremists.
They're just misunderstood.
Right.
It's a small percentage.
Right.
But they released this video of this 11-year-old boy executing two hostages.
Two Russian operatives.
Two Russian operatives with a pistol. 11 years old. Folks, we talk all the time on... And, you know, when people are out there and like, oh, this is just a small sect of this religion or blah, 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 blah.
Well,
It doesn't matter.
The kids are called the young lions, the lion cubs of the caliphate. That's what this group is.
That's a warm name.
And they train young children in tactics and weapon usage, and they are part of this young, these lion cubs of the caliphate. So it's not like this is just one random kid.
It's actually a movement.
Yes.
Or a division, if you will, within ISIS. And, you know, ISIS, Islamist extremists and terrorists, again, earlier this week, used a 10-year-old girl in a marketplace, I want to say it was somewhere in Africa, to detonate a suicide vest.
Uh-huh.
And 11-year-old girl. And this is these are preteens. These are children that are being used in these horrific attacks.
Well, and there's a training camp video that was released previously by ISIS back in November that was talking about it's a training camp for the next generation of jihadis.
Ken just said that that's the new Disney film is The Lion Cubs of the Caliphate in the chat room. A whole new world to blow up passionately.
Don't sing. Don't just stop.
It's frightening to me. You know, this is more than just a couple of bad players, and a lot of discussions that we had this week. That you saw in the media is, this is just such a small representation. This sort of thing is isolated incident. Hey, let's blame the people of Charlie Hebdo for getting themselves killed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, there are millions of people who subscribe to this ideology that want us dead.
Yes.
And in some places, it's because we're the Americans and the infidels. In other places, like in Africa, it's because it was a Christian town. One of the things that people did not see on the news this week is an entire town of 2,000 people were wiped off the map by Boko Haram, an Islamist extremist group, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a Christian town that was killed. 2,000 people. Folks, North Woodstock, New Hampshire, which is just out, it's a nice little town, New Hampshire, I used to vacation at. 500 people is their total population. 2,000 people wiped off of the planet because of their religious beliefs. Children were again involved in that. Children were also victimized in that. There is no rule of law. There is no rule of engagement. There is no Geneva Convention. There is no anything that applies to these people. And when you want to talk about when it's time to bring the fight to these people, there's no negotiations. You can't negotiate with them. And I had an idea, and I wonder what your feedback is. And I want to see how liberals play this. So why are liberals putting all these bans on guns? They're bad. They get into the wrong hands. They kill people. This is their argument.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, because if guns were illegal in France, for example, if it was illegal for you to have an AK-style weapon in France, these murders wouldn't have happened.
Absolutely. Oh, wait. That is.
Huh.
But you look at all the reasons that the left puts bans on guns. Oh, they look evil. Changeable magazine with over 10 rounds. You don't need that for anything but, hunting. Oh, blah, hunting. But they put all these different laws and restrictions, because guns, in their opinion, kill people. Not the people that pull the trigger. We're not going to blame the people that pull the trigger.
Right.
We're going to blame the gun itself. The overall evil is the gun, not the person. So it's the guns that have to be dealt with. They constantly violate the Second Amendment by doing that. Now, it gets wink, wink, and nudge, nudge, Sue, but it is a violation of our Second Amendment. Hold that thought. What if we started doing permits on Muslims and Islams in America?
There's no way.
Right. It's
No
still
way.
a violation of the Constitution, right?
Right, absolutely.
All those are as well, but this one violates your First Amendment. But what if we submitted, under the liberal logic of why they ban guns and why you need special permits, to have special permits to be a Muslim in America? Hey, you have to prove that you're not going to blow up and kill people. We have to know what mosque you're going to. We have to know everything about you, because you could be one of the bad guys.
Yep.
If every mosque has to register every person that shows up, they have to keep a registry on file that has to get cleared through the federal government in order to be able to attend. If you're going to pray with your prayer mat at sundown, you have to get a special permit to do that. Because, I don't know, Muslims have killed people in other countries. They've killed people here. You could be one of them. Just like guns kill everybody nonstop in this country. What if we propose that? Oh, violation. This is a violation of the first. You're an evil person. I am being facetious.
Right.
I do not think that we should violate anyone's First Amendment rights. But what the left needs to realize, and the apologists and those who don't have the spine to stand up to these bastards, is that it is the exact same argument, just from the other side of the coin. They are dangerous. The killers. They need to be tracked. They need to be dealt with brutally. We need to be tracking them and know who they are. Now, is that every single person who goes to practice their religious beliefs at a mosque? No. But is the potential that one of those person in that 200-300 people in the mosque is the person that's going to be the next Chechen brothers, the Tsarnaev brothers, is going to be the Fort Hood shooter, is going to be the guy in Seattle, is going to be, I could go on and on and on. We need to really start looking at what we need to do as a nation to protect ourselves and tell
here's what we need
the
to do.
Extremists that it's not going to happen.
Here's what we need to do. It's not going to happen under this administration, but here's what we need to do. Call terrorism what it is. Stop soft-footing around. We need to stand up to it, just like we talked about last segment, and actually call it out for what it is. It is terrorism. It is violent radical Islam. We need to stop this politically correct garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we going to randomly search the 72-year-old woman at the airport while we let the 21, 22, 23-year-old Middle Easterner walk by in a whole group? And I'm not saying we search every Middle Easterner, but I'm saying you have to start putting together a series of specific, articulable facts, including how many of these jihadis
do what the Israelis do?
Right. Human intelligence is big, but
human
talk to people.
Human intelligence is huge.
Contact people. Pay closer scrutiny. Or am I saying talk to somebody based solely on race? No, but if there are a couple indicators present, guess what?
Well,
focus on them, and you have to be reasonable about it, right? Like I said, we just used the 72-year-old woman as the example. How many 72-year-old Caucasian women have been used in terror attacks? How many? And go down the list. Look, there is a criminal profile that can be put together.
Absolutely.
Right? There are criminal profiles of serial killers. There are criminal profiles of active...
How about gang members?
Yes.
These are essentially gang members. I mean,
no,
at the
they're
end
worse
of the day,
than gang members.
Well,
these are worse than gang members.
You know what I'm saying, though? We do it for gang members, and they're worse.
Yes. Yes. They're wearing whatever color with certain tattoos or whatever.
Right.
Yes, it's criminal profiling. It is not based solely on race.
Right.
Okay? And there is nothing, but people in this country, a lot of people, are so afraid of that. Oh my gosh, you can't do that. Bullshit. Listen, why is it that TSA, it's okay to search a 4-year-old kid with the parents right there?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, God help anybody that tries to do that with my kid. We wouldn't be flying.
Right.
Or I would be going to jail.
Either way.
Either way, we wouldn't be flying that day.
It wouldn't work out well for anyone.
But that is the type of unreasonable crap that puts us at risk here in this country because we are so afraid of being politically correct. We are so afraid to offend anybody that we are willing to risk American lives so that we don't hurt somebody else's feelings.
You know who we're not afraid to offend? people that have never been arrested and have a good moral background. We'll offend them in a second.
Yes.
If you're a Christian, we'll
Yes.
offend you in a second. If you're a hardworking individual, no problem. We'll offend you in a second. If you're a potential terrorist, Now, the Israelis use a system of body language. It has nothing to do... First of all, everybody over there, for the most part, has a good tan, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So it's not like they profile through race at all. As a matter of fact, I'm sure they worry about the white people more because of the Chechens and because of the increase of the Muslim religion spreading to Anglo-Saxon areas of the world. Look at how big Islam is in Britain right now. And it's spreading to not only people of Arab descent, but Caucasian Britons. So the Israelis use a system, and essentially, like you said, it's criminal pattern and behavior. They watch the individual, they see how they move, they see their actions, their eye behavior, all that stuff, and it's articulated that these people are people who are about to commit a crime exhibit these behaviors. It's articulated through science. The left loves science. How can that be wrong? And it's already been attacked in this country. And I'll tell you where. And I actually know the guy through a business contact who developed this for the Israeli airports and now teaches it here in America. Have you ever heard of the Mall of America? Minnesota, right?
Yes.
Huge, humongous mall. Unbelievable. You can't even imagine if you've never been how big it is. They brought this guy, his first name's Michael, into the Mall of America to teach all of the people inside his methods on how to recognize behavior of potential criminals. Now, it doesn't specify what type of crime they are going to commit. It could be everything from shoplifting to car burglary to spitting on the ground. I don't know. I'm exaggerating. Up through terrorism and murder and all that stuff. A gang member who's about to pull a gun and unload on other gang members, etc. You experience these certain behaviors, your body does it involuntarily. He was brought in to instruct their entire security staff because they do have a problem with terrorism that they're concerned about, and rightfully so. And the liberals up by that mall went insane. This is profiling. You can't profile and profile and profile. And he said, hey, I'm not profiling them as a race or an age or a gender. I am profiling them through behavior. And we go up and we have a conversation. And from that conversation, we ask scientifically proven questions through a series of just simple conversation as to whether or not it was a coincidence that they're exhibiting this behavior. And obviously, while they're asking these questions, they're monitoring more behavior because obviously if somebody's about to do something, they're getting called on it, they tense up, whatever. Or if they're going to actually commit a crime, and then we contact the authorities, et cetera, et cetera. People went insane. But I'll tell you what, they implemented it, and there was an article I read not too long ago how much crime has dropped in that mall just on that alone. And it's a proven fact, and it's a proven science that we could actually get behind and utilize and save some real freaking lives in this country and all over the world. But because it's quote-unquote profiling, we're afraid to do it.
We're afraid to do it because we're a nation of cowards now.
We are a nation of political correct cowards.
We are, and I'm not calling... we have cowards in office at this time. Look, racial profiling in and of itself is wrong. If you're stopping somebody based solely on race, right?
Unless they're white.
Unless they're white. No, but seriously.
I know.
Racial profiling is wrong. I don't think any cop should be able to look at somebody and say, oh, that person is this race, I need to stop them, just based on that, right?
It's a horrible reason.
Criminal profiling, though, is different, and
totally
we talked about that. It's different when you can talk to somebody and look for those indicators, and you have to build that case because, look, you and I are for liberty. We believe in the Constitution, and we don't want anybody's constitutional rights violated, even in the name of security. Right?
Anything.
Very slippery slope. We don't want anybody's rights violated, period.
And look,
but if you can go down that road of scientifically validated human indicators
Mm-hmm.
and put together a suspicion, put together articulable facts that support what it is you're doing, that's a different story.
There's an inherent risk with any sort of behavior like that. Of course there is. And you have to understand that. There is a risk. Look at the Patriot Act. Good intention.
Horrible law.
Horrible law. And I understand the intention. It was a good intention, but look at what it did for the NSA.
Road to hell.
Yeah. A path of good
Paved
intentions.
with good intention, yeah.
So you definitely...
Sacco closed the door on us.
Have to go to a break. We definitely have to go to a break.
We have to go to a break.
When we come back...
We're talking through a closed door. We may not even be on right now. I can't.
Clint has gas when we come back here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
No, that's not it. Wait, what?
I can smell it. It's pretty bad, man. That's your mom.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid club.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to the Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back now.
You're back.
We
Now.
were
Yeah, you
trying
guys
to
are
be
back.
back before.
Right,
but
we couldn't be
Sacco
back before.
Hey, guys, you're
failed
back.
to
Hey, thanks, Sacco.
hit the button.
Hey, guys.
Again, that's that's 2 errors
Hey, guys.
already
What?
per show.
You're back.
Thanks. And that's Sacco at Twitter, at SAOKO-TACO1.
Hey, Sean, did you shave that?
Yeah.
That back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
You're back,
shaved
by
it.
the way.
I'm
Yeah,
back.
your mom's back? Yeah, we
What?
shaved that.
Oh, God.
Why does he set himself up like that?
He can't help himself.
That is so easy. So, hey, listen, we have excellent news.
Awesome.
Excellent news. Look, the American middle class is finally getting a little bit of breathing room.
Thank goodness.
Gas prices are
through the floor.
Down.
I'm so excited.
Lowest they've been in a long time. People finally have a little extra money in their pockets.
It costs me half as much to fill my tank
It
now.
is. Look, we are a big part of that. We're driving the price of gas down through shale.
Private land?
We are pretty, yes, on private, of course, not federal property,
Right.
because
It's all private land.
This administration, don't let them snow you with any kind of bullshit garbage they're talking. No, this is all private venture, private exploration, and so we have a huge supply right now. Gas prices are in the tank. See how I did that?
Hey, good
that
job.
Thank you.
That
I nailed that. I'm here.
I'm impressed. Woo!
I'm here all night. Well, for the next 24 minutes. Which is a really crucial time right now. We have a slow recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really something that is helping the American people. So what better time than to announce that we should increase the federal gas tax?
Oh, well, those damn Democrats.
Why are we... Ooh, the problem is there's some Republicans on board also.
What?
Yeah, 4 Senate Republicans. Bob Corker. No, Corker. Sorry, I got that confused. Bob Corker, James Inhofe, it doesn't matter. Orrin Hatch, and John Thune. Yeah, so that's good. Listen, he's right on the same page with Barbara Boxer and Nancy Pelosi that have both urged Congress to increase the tax. So that's good. Those are your Republicans, folks, ladies and gentlemen. That's where our party is. So let's look at this for a second. First of all, we have Americans with some extra money in their pocket now, which is good. We've been hurting.
As a nation? Yeah.
And economically for a while. Very slow recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to talk about increasing the federal gas tax, which is already 18.4 cents per gallon.
Almost 20 cents a gallon.
Per gallon.
A gallon. Let me say that again. Per freaking gallon.
Yeah.
Go on.
Now, granted, this has been the tax for like 18-ish years.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a lot. 18.4 cents every gallon is a lot. And the money was supposed to be earmarked to pay for transportation projects.
Don't care.
But now they're saying, well, we have more fuel-efficient vehicles. There's a large, like a $16 billion funding gap.
Not our problem.
It is, but here's where the problem really lies. Did we not pass a stimulus bill or something like that was supposed to go to shovel-ready projects?
Wait, what?
For infrastructure?
Huh. That's weird. I'm pretty sure we did. It's weird.
Where'd it go?
Well, we had to buy light bulbs. We had to buy...
Where'd it go?
Hold on, I'm working on this one. It went to a small amount of peas.
I don't know if anybody knows where it went. And now they want to increase our taxes, or a federal gas tax.
Oh, my God.
And we just got hit in California.
I was just going to say, California, we just got nailed with the gas tax because we have to pay for this train to nowhere. And so they might as well put it on the taxpayers that don't really want it to do that. They couldn't pull the money from somewhere else. All the money that we could be cutting to fill that gap, and this is what the systemic problem with Congress is. We have a financial gap. Oh, we have to close 400. How much is it?
$16 billion.
$16 billion. We have to close that $60 billion somewhere. Oh, how are we going to do it?
Close Homeland Security.
Oh, no.
Close Department of Education.
No, let's just tax the hell out of the people that are already paying for it. And again, this isn't a tax on the lowest brackets, the ones that don't pay taxes. This isn't a tax on. This is a tax. This is a tax on the small construction guys who drive their trucks everywhere and have to have a big truck to do
How's
the
about
work.
salespeople?
Salespeople.
How's about anything? You think this won't roll over to the price of goods and services that get transported
Of course
via
it
truck?
does.
This is it's not just a few more cents per gallon of gas, and then that's all we're paying is at the pump.
Right.
This is going to
Those costs get handed down.
Yes, this is going to get rolled into prices of goods, of services, name it. Consumers are going to eat this. Consumers are going to eat this cost up through a rise in prices. So, and now some people are saying, well, but with prices the way they are now, well, now we have enough money that we can actually afford this kind of tax increase. Okay, what happens when the price of gas goes back up?
Right.
Are you going to roll this tax back?
Right.
When does Congress roll back taxes?
Ever. When was the last time they've ever dialed it back a little bit? Just a wee.
So there's an idiotic argument right there.
Well, and look at you have to look at what's behind this and the systemic problem with Congress. When it comes time to raise money, all they do is raise taxes. They don't look at cuts. And you know what would save a hell of a lot of money? And Ted Cruz said it this week: abolish the IRS.
Yeah.
Get rid of the IRS.
Yeah. Write a check directly. You pay X percent flat tax.
Yeah. Call it beginning of the year. You can pay off your taxes and be done. No returns. We don't need to be. I've never understood the system of returns. You're going to pay the government all this money that they're going to make interest on for the year, and then you're going to get it back without interest.
Yes, but if you're late, you're going to pay interest.
You're going to pay out the rear end. Speaking of gas taxes, Iggy in the chat room, she paid $3.77 for a gallon of gas today in New York. That's insane.
That is insane,
especially
particularly since we're paying $2.25 at certain gas stations here in California.
And if that tax didn't go through, it'd be around $2.19 right now.
I think it was almost a 10-cent.
Was it a 10
right?
cent?
Yeah.
I thought it was 6.5 or so. Either way, okay, so $2.15. And we talked last week. The price of oil going down isn't necessarily a good thing economic wise. It is short term.
Yeah, it is because it's hurting Russia,
right?
And it's hurting the Middle East,
right? But
That's
I mean, our overall economy. Part of the reason why the gas prices are going down is because people just aren't buying it. And the reason people aren't buying it is because there's so much supply and no demand. Because we've done it to ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Electric cars, all this other stuff, in the name of trying to save
Look, I'm all for having a huge supply stores.
A ton.
Yeah.
A ton.
Yeah, because guess what? When we have to go to war, we're going to need it.
But here's the funny thing about that gas. So gas 15 years ago used to be set up so it would store for extended periods of time. Gas now will only store for 3 to 4 years before it essentially becomes smelly, lousy water.
Oh, that's smart.
Weird.
Yeah, why wouldn't we do that?
Why wouldn't we do that? And it's being done that way by a federal government who's mandating it under detergents and all that other stuff to keep it clean for low emissions. So you can't even, if you're a private person and you wanted to store gasoline, you know some states limit the amount that you can store. So right now the price is $3.22. Say I'm a private, say I have 5 trucks and I own a farm and I want to go out and buy 500 gallons because at this price, that's a great amount of money for me to use throughout the year. Most counties and states have like a 100-gallon limit under safety. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want you putting it in glass bottles and storing it in your basement. Yeah, you should probably have some sort of actual container to hold it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, why are we limiting the price, the amount of gas that we can store as private citizens?
Because. Next question.
Right. And it's done through fire safety. Oh, too much gas on one. Well, that could have a fire.
Right.
Okay, well, I've seen a plane explode in the sky. Nobody worried about that fire. I mean, we can't insulate ourselves from everything, nor can we do it under the guise of trying to keep people safe. We have all these ridiculous
Look, I can
laws.
understand you don't want 500 gallons of gasoline stored in a residential neighborhood.
Right.
I see that. But you're right, on a farm?
Yeah.
So maybe
small
cities
business
can regulate. I don't know. On a related note, Keystone Pipeline.
Oh, weird.
Update. So the bill is gaining steam in the Congress, and I actually read a report that said that the Senate would be 4 votes away from being able to override a veto. I don't know where the House would be. But this can be done. Look, there are Democrats that are on board with the Keystone Pipeline because it's important to their districts. And they know that if they vote against it, they probably won't get elected again.
Weird.
And a majority of Americans are
want
for
this.
Yes,
They want it.
are for this. So I think that it could be done. I think that the Keystone bill could override a presidential veto. And so this is one I'm going to put this on my bill watch. There's some speculation that Republicans would have to put it on, attach it to some kind of legislation that'll get that 67 vote majority to override a veto in the Senate. But the fact that, because that would give the Democrats then some cover saying, well, I voted for this, but yeah, Keystone was attached in districts where maybe it's not a huge deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very interested to see how this plays out, because I think Congress can actually shove this one right up the president's. Yeah. In other news in California, Barbara Boxer.
Yay!
She is not running in 2016. Hey, like the Monopoly song. The great news is Kamala Harris.
I believe it's Camila.
I think the K is silent.
Oh, Amila?
I don't know. Harris, the state attorney general. She's super conservative. She's the first attorney general in state history to be elected without any public safety endorsement or support, I believe.
Thank goodness.
I think. Am I right on that?
Thank goodness. Yes.
I think I am.
There's somebody you wanted to help.
So obviously she's the former district attorney of San Francisco County, so obviously a huge supporter of conservative values. She announced today that she is going to be running for the Senate seat, for Barbara Boxer's Senate seat in 2016.
The funny part is our friend Elizabeth Emkin, who is definitely a really good friend of our show and a friend of ours on Twitter. I tweeted her almost immediately when this news broke, and I won't say the response I got because it was private and I don't want to do that. I'm just excited.
Listen,
nothing was definitive, nothing was announced, nothing crazy like that, but it was positive.
Listen, the other person who wants to run for the Democrats is Tom Steyer, he's a billionaire environmentalist, and here's what he said to the Huffington Post, quote, "Washington needs to be shaken up." Okay, we agree there.
Yeah.
Right?
Off to a good start, kid.
Right, off good. And we need climate champions who will fight for the next generation.
Hang
on, he goes on.
Oh, crap.
California Democrats are blessed to have a deep bench of talent. And I will decide soon based on what I think is the best way to continue the hard work we have already started together. He started off so well with his first.
We're getting rid
words.
of Boxer. Yay. We just got rid of what's-his-face down in L.A., who championed, he was a representative that championed all the climate control. I can't think of his name. The bald guy with the horrible mustache. It looked like, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if he showed up at a park, you might run. Now, we're now going to rope, or this is where Republicans need to get smart. Because conservatism in California, we saw this past election, is on the rise. There are more conservatives here now that are coming out to vote than there has been in 15 years.
Yes.
The opportunity to put a good conservative up and pull all of the conservatives out of the woodwork to vote is huge, because you already know the left strategists are already in motion. And this is when I get pissed at the Republican Party and the conservatives for writing off California. If you get one conservative in either as a senator, think about what that says to the state when you start getting into presidential elections. I mean, I know it's going to be at the same time, so it's kind of moot on this point. But local elections, presidential elections, in general, the governorship in California, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You actually have a lot of conservatives here that just don't come out. And the numbers balance. If you get conservatives out to vote in California, the Democratic machine, the leftist progressive machine, can be challenged. But you have to do it. If they don't start pouring money in right away, they're missing an opportunity like you wouldn't believe. And you have to find really good young conservatives to run. If Elizabeth isn't interested in running, I only threw her name out there because she's a friend of the show, and
we love her.
And we do love her. But I know there's some other groups out there that are looking for the next conservative candidate in California to start leading a charge, and not looking because they can groom them to be rank-and-file Republicans, but looking for a true, valued conservative with absolute great principles that are going to stick by it, intelligence and ability. And I know there are groups out there right now looking for these people. I know firsthand. I'm not one of those people, trust me, but they're looking for them. They lose me on the intelligence and good looks part. But we need to start now. We have 2 years, and I know the presidential election is huge, but think of what a message this would say to conservatives all across the country if you can steal one of those senatorial seats from the Democrats. Think about the rally.
In California.
Yes. Think about the rally that would cause and what a change that could make for our nation. California is the petri dish of horrible Democratic ideas. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. We can actually turn it into a petri dish for conservative values and start it out here. We need to get one of the coasts, at least on some level, to be conservative again, and we actually have the chance. And I hope that they don't miss this opportunity. Reince, if you're listening, stay out of the way. Stay out of the damn way.
Reince.
Stay out.
Reince.
But don't you agree that would be an amazing approach that we should be taking right now?
I think we should start our own party.
The Sacco Party?
The Sackheads Party.
The Sackheads Party?
It's going to be in Vegas, so join us.
We could... Nice segue. We could wear, but we can't use paper sacks because they would break. I wonder if we could get, white cloth sack. Oh, that idea has already been ruined.
Yeah, no, we can't.
Sorry, Ken.
White sacks on our...
We just come out and just show everyone we're Christians. We can have... Oh, wait,
we have a big cross on the... Right.
All right, maybe that's not a good idea.
Okay, to show we're Americans, like a big eagle holding a wreath.
No, that can't
be
good either.
Done either.
If only there was a symbol. No, I'll forget it.
Like red and black, because it contrasts really well. Something like that.
The last 3 minutes of the show is brought to you by satire, ladies and gentlemen. Before you go running out, Ken says don't forget to carry a torch. Like the Olympics, right? To get people to rally around you.
And listen, hey, to show that we are all in one, we're all together, we'll burn a lowercase t.
Yes.
Together.
Right.
For together.
That way it shines bright for everyone to see.
Right, so it shines bright. It'll be great. And we should do this all at the Conservative Black Caucus.
Absolutely.
To show togetherness. What?
Hey, guys, we're here. Again, satire before the hate mail starts. It's satire.
I love getting hate mail. It's so funny.
I do, too.
You have homework this week.
I do have homework this week.
Your homework is to read, and we will discuss it later this week. Okay, that was funny. Sorry for the distraction.
If you were in the chat room, you'd know.
Your homework is to read the two treatises of government by John Locke.
Okay.
And we will discuss it this week.
Is it more than 5 minutes?
Yes.
All right, well, it might take me a week.
And also, since Common Core and everything is a big topic, I recommend to all of our readers John Locke's Some Thoughts Concerning Education.
Well, there's a lot. Look at you. You have to start a reading list.
I was supposed to put one together.
Yeah, I know.
A while ago.
I know. I was supposed to grow hair.
A while ago. On places other than your back.
Right. From the ears up this time.
Right. You basically have a full body beard. You look like Captain Caveman, like if he would have got a bowl cut, but like in reverse, so the top being bald. I need to get a Captain Caveman.
Captain Caveman!
And for any of you who've seen Sean, you know that I speak the truth.
You'll see it in Vegas when you come to
Vegas.
Freedom Fest 2015 in July. You will see it there. So check out the readings and the writings of John Locke, if you will.
Some thoughts concerning education.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, just a reminder, this Friday on the SHR Media Network, starting at 4 p.m., Liz Loris, Soldier Talk Radio, does have her special 2-hour special. You do not want to miss it. It's about suicide prevention in the military, and how suicide affects soldiers and military families. Make sure you check out the exceptional one, the amazing one, the guy we can't wait to hang out in Vegas and drink some foodies with. Ken McClinton, Monday through Thursday night here on the SHR Media Network.
We may even pour a little out to the homies.
That's right. 6 p.m. on the West, 9 on the East. Friday mornings at 5 a.m. on the West, 8 a.m. on the East. Ken wants to know if we're going to hang in Vegas. Let's get back to our earlier topic. Oh, man. Evan Miller reports back tomorrow at 4 p.m. here on the SHR Media Network, followed by, news and commentary with Dan Butcher, followed by the Evan Miller Report, then the exceptional one himself. Make sure you check out Thursday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific, for Southern Sense with Annie, and I believe Dan's co-hosting that this week, and all the other great shows here on the SHR Media Network. Special shout out to our sponsors this evening, Windrock Financial. Check them out, as well as POF USA, Patriot Ordnance Factory Firearms, the finest in AR-15 platform in the world. And I say that
I'm
going to
say, you know what?
In the galaxy?
I'm going to
Universe.
say yes.
Known
and unknown.
Ooh.
Inner and outer space.
Black holes included.
What's Ken? Does Ken? No, unrelated question. There was a comma, period. Separation of thought there.
Ken says the NAACP marches in celebration of the hanging of Tex. Exceptional conservative show.
Hey, I want to know, Ken, what are the chances of us getting into the conservative Black Caucus?
Yes.
Like, could we have a Gene Wilder moment?
Yes.
To get in, or could we be made
do that?
honorary something so that we could hang it in the studio?
That would be honorary. See, Bill Clinton
will get the Black Caucus first. Got it.
Black Conservative Caucus first.
Oh, yeah.
Amazingly. Oh, man. I love our chat room. If you're missing it, if you're listening to the show on the podcast, you got to check us out during the live nights. Get in the chat room. There's so much great stuff and ideas. You know, one of the things that I don't talk about a lot, and I know I only have a second, is the amount of great ideas that go in the chat room that never get mentioned, so you want to be part of that. Follow us at Sackheads. Clitter at Sackheads.
Clitter at Sackheads?
Radio.
That's not. There was no N in that when you said that, just so you know. We'll play it back later.
Conservative talk.
But I want to know something. This show, I'm not one for modern technology, as we all know.
Papers for certain other
but
guys
this
that
show
work here too.
is so awesome because a lot of shows have call-ins and they interact with call-in guests. We actually have a whole chat room going, and we interact with our chat guests, which is, to me, even more fun than having the guest call up. You can type that and talk about it on air. And I love it. As one time, I actually love technology. I just think it's a lot of fun. Don't freaking look at me like that, Socko. I'll come over and slam my door shut.
We will see you next week, folks. Thank you so much for joining us.
God bless America. Thank you.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.